Thanks. And you reminded me, I forgot to say at the beginning, there are 3 candidates for 2 positions, and they're both 3-year terms. So I guess my next question would be, some of you kind of touched on it already, but why are you running? I guess we can start with Mike again and go down the line.
Well, thank you, Jake. Community involvement has always been a passion of mine. I previously served on the MSA 59 school board for 2 years. This was about 15 years ago when our kids were still students in the district. Both of our kids came up through the Madison schools. And Kim and I were always really involved in volunteering at school. I was a substitute teacher for a while, served on the school board. I've always loved this community. I have a deep caring for this community and the people in it. And I just like to serve. I'm a public servant. That's always been a passion of mine. And I just thought this is another way that I can give back to the community that I love and be involved in town affairs and hopefully make a difference. That's really what it's all about, stepping up and making a difference in making our community a better place to live. And I hope to do that if I'm selected for one of the positions.
Okay. And John, why are you running?
That was good for me. Good job. Thanks, Bob. Why am I running? Well, I did not have the intentions of running ever, to be honest with everybody here in the town of Madison. I was a husband and father out there on the River Road for a long time, and then I was flipping a house down here on Nichols Street. And I had a lot of people stopping in telling me how good of a job I was doing and how the crew was working and so on and so forth. And then I had somebody come to me and mention to me about the methadone clinic was going to be going into Taylor's. I sat there and I said, I don't think hell's a swear, is it? I honestly said, hell will freeze over before that happens in this town. Time went on, and then all of a sudden, the buzz was getting bigger. It actually was going to take place. And I told my wife, and we're sitting at home, and every evening the kids would go to bed, and we would talk, and I was like, Samantha, somebody is going to put a stop to this, going in the 4 corners of the only corner, street light corner in our town. Somebody's going to step up and put a stop to this. And then what I come to find out was nobody was actually saying to stop this. Actually, what happened was, in my opinion, and possibly solely my opinion, there was encouragement from some of our leadership to get that put in the corner of our town. So then that's when I stepped in and I said, that's not happening. Really long story short, we all went through the process together and they're not there. Thankfully, they're somewhere because, again, as I said it then, these people need some help. But thankfully, it's not at the only corner of our town. So once I stuck my head out of my little life that I had there on the River Road in Madison, I started seeing some what I would call some issues to where it's like I couldn't believe they were taking place. I honestly couldn't believe some of the environment and how people were presenting themselves in some of our leaderships and the words that were actually coming out of some of the people's mouths. And I said to myself, like, I can't even believe this. Something needs to be done. Somebody needs to ask the right questions. I sit in a crowd and I see there's like 6 people coming to these meetings. I was one of them that didn't attend. But now, seeing what I saw and seeing the environments we're in, and now 2 seats opened up, I thought to myself, leadership needs to be part of decisions of this town and of what you people want, of what these people want. And we need to be a voice. We, him, if it's not me, we need to be a voice of what the town needs and for the betterment of what you all need at home. And I passionately feel that with every bit of what I am. There's a lot of stuff that you guys don't know, and you're gonna go vote. You're gonna go vote in a month. In 1 month, you're gonna sit there and you're gonna put your card up, and probably half of you don't know of what you're voting on or where the dollars are going. And I even heard it from my leadership that it always passes. To me, that settles wrong. It truly hits me in a place to where we're just gonna go on and continue voting and just go with the trust of what we have in our leadership, and we're gonna make it just happen the way they say so because we trust them. And that's the way it should be, though. But now, I don't wanna sit here and just go on and on about certain things that the town has done that's making me passionately sit in this chair pandering for your votes. But there's like a lot of stuff going on to where they're just like, and when I say there, some of our leadership is just smoothing it over. Like acting like it's not a big deal. There's tough decisions that need to be made. And I'm just gonna leave it at that. If some of you guys wanna know what I'm talking about, we can have conversations. And what we need is some leadership that can actually make some tough decisions. People that actually have skills, that are gonna sit around tables, business deals or otherwise, and actually make proper decisions for this town. I literally could go on and on all evening about this stuff, but I'll leave it at that. Why am I running? I'm running because I love this town. 36 years being involved here, my kids going through the system, and I know that I can bring leadership and skills to this town to where it's gonna be utilized in a team effort with Mike, David, and whomever else, to where we can actually get some positive progression for all you people, because that's what matters, is all you people. And that's the short version of my answer.
Okay, very good. And David, why are you running?
Actually, I'm running because I was asked to run.
Yeah.
I had no intentions of running for the council. I would rather sit out there when they have a council meeting. I would rather sit out there and speak up when when it's time for the citizens' concerns. If we have any concerns, that's usually when I speak up and say something, and I've done that a few times. So I had no intentions of running, but I was asked to run, and I thought, yes, I'm going to do it because we haven't lived here in this community that long, but it's a great community, and I am a history buff. And one of my neighbors, Bruce Hinsby, who has been around here in Madison for a long time, him and his late wife, and he gave me a book on the history of Madison, and I've just been consuming that book it goes way back in the 1600s, and it talks about Father Rail and how him and the Indians were massacred by the English and different things like that. And so I love history, and the more I read about Madison, the more I love Madison and know there's such a great history here in Madison. And I believe, like Mike and John, that we have to get involved in our community. And I think we're at a critical stage right now for our community and all communities. We're at a critical stage for our state. And I think people have to step forward that have leadership skills and take the bull by the horn, so to speak, and get involved and ask some hard questions and get out there and do some work. And that's why I'm running. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. My next question, before I open it up to the floor, would be if there are any specific issues that are top of mind for you that you think the select board needs to address or will address at some point soon. So we can start with David on that one and go
Sure.
down the line this way.
There are a few issues. One of my issues is we had some citizens come here at a council meeting one night that live over in Lakewood. And they talked about the area over there and how it's such a beautiful area with the theater, the boat ramp, and the beach and everything like that. But there are some things in that neighborhood that needs some attention. And my wife and I have rode over there a couple of times and rode around. and they are definitely correct. That there are some buildings over there, some of them need to be torn down, others need to, the town needs to find out from the owners what their plans are with these buildings, because it's just bringing the whole neighborhood down. I mean, you can go down through there and there's cars that have never been run in years that are parked on people's lawns. So we need to be able to give the code enforcement officer some teeth to go down there and clean that area up. It's a gem down there. I didn't realize how beautiful that area is down there. So that's one of my concerns, cleaning areas up like that. And there are some depressed areas here in Madison, depressed housing, and maybe we should be asking the questions of the homeowners, how can we help you out? You know, what's the problem? What's the situation? So we can, even more beautify this little town of Madison. And of course there are some other things like they have just hired a new rec director, which I think is perfect. We need that here in the town. He needs help, he needs volunteers. There are a lot of things that need to be done in that area. And I'm glad that they did that. And there are some other areas, but I'll get into them as time goes on if I'm elected to the board. But it's such a pleasure to live here in Madison and to get to know the people and to get to know the area and to get to know the history of Madison. The first vehicle that came into town, 1904 was the first vehicle that somebody owned here in Madison. I believe it was 1904 when they started having street lights. They did away with the oil lamps, started having street. So I love the history of Madison, and I just want to see that continue and grow.
Okay. And John, same question for you.
What was it again?
The top issues for you.
Top issues for me. Well, first off, let's celebrate some moments real quick about the animal medical clinic opening up. So that's very positive for our town. So Darren, good job, buddy. Yeah, there are some issues. I obviously, seemingly from the perspective of the other people, the way I talk, I'm obviously feeling that there are some issues in our town, which one of them could be the simplicities of a budget, right? And that kind of sounds like an oxymoron to some people because budgets ain't simple. So, now, the last meeting when we were putting that budget together, I was making a big deal of, what was it, $38,000 in general assistance, right? To me, it was glaring. I expressed that to our leadership. $38,000 in comparison to our whole budget is really small. But now, when it jumps off at a piece of paper, it really makes me think that, what's going on. So really long story short, so I asked some questions, and the answers that I got, they weren't the greatest, right? It's the law. We have to follow the law, and that's a fact. I'm not saying that we don't have to follow the law. But what I wanted to know was, why is it 400% greater than the year before? And why was it more than 400% greater than 2021 when general assistance should have been that much more extreme? The answer that I got was, it's the law. And I went and I dug into the law. And it is the law. But now there are other guardrails that the state puts to protect us here in Madison that's never talked about. And I'll talk about those problems. The reason why, some of the things that I says, why is it so glaring to me? Why is it 400% greater than it was last year? It's the law I got, and I was like, why are you saying that? Like, can I get some examples of what is going on with Madison? Are you telling me that we are darting into this planet? Madison itself is darting into this planet in severe poverty. And I was like, what's causing that? And then she says the general assistance went up because of potentially the elderly. And also drugs. Those were the two answers that I got to go home with and chew. And I didn't like either one of them. Because I'm not the type of person that's just gonna throw money at a problem. I'm the type of person that you find out what the problem is and you fix the problem. $38,000 doesn't seem like a lot of money in comparison to the millions that we spend as a town. But to me, it's a waste of money when there's a problem that potentially could be fixed if we talk about it. And I do have some plans that we could fix these problems if people will listen to me. And it's gonna be really hard for people to actually look at the position that I'm coming into, because it's gonna look like I'm not compassionate. These elderly that we have in that town, they paved the way for us. They put us here in this position, and I don't think that any of our elders should be going through any hardship to where they gotta come to the town and get their oil paid for. There's a serious problem. The second thing is the drugs. I'm only using those two examples because that's what was given to me. Well, I have an idea how we can fix that. And we're gonna not go against any state law. I understand that the state law is in place, but we as the town can set up some ordinance, some rules of our own to where now we can work with the state and stay within the parameters, because the way the law is written, and we'll talk about it, the way the law is written is we can stay in the parameters of the law and still create our own guidelines that we could follow to protect the people of this town. And then this town needs to heal. The drug problem, I hear it, the drug problem, drugs are everywhere. I get that. You don't need to talk to people like it's okay that drugs are a problem in other communities. It's not okay. It's not okay there, and it's not okay here. And we have to fix the problem and not just throw money at issues, because what's being used is state law. There's ways that we can actually protect ourselves and get these people healed. And I have ideas that we could actually do that if you guys vote me in. That's one problem of a few, and I'll keep it there for now.
Okay, great. Mike?
Well, as a public safety professional, I think the safety of the citizens of Madison should be our number one concern. And again, I take the public safety of everyone that lives in this community very seriously. And to John's point, there is a serious drug problem in town. There's a serious drug problem in Somerset County. It's born out of poverty, it's born out of lack of education, lack of resources. And we could discuss for days different solutions, different ways we could address the issue. I don't know what the answer is. I've been involved with a lot of different solutions and ideas over the years, but I haven't really come across anything as of yet that I think is the penultimate solution. But I think it's important that we fund our public safety, law enforcement, fire, ambulance. Those are the services that people rely on many times in life or death situations. I like David's point about beautifying the town. There are some areas in town that definitely need some attention and should be cleaned up, should be made to look like most of the rest of the town, which this is a beautiful place to live. I love it so much. But you have to balance those things with the burden to the taxpayer. And I know a lot of folks, like John was talking about, we have a lot of elderly residents in town that are on fixed incomes. And they're living hand to mouth and sometimes have to go to the town for assistance. And we have to be mindful of those folks too when we send out that property tax bill. What is the impact going to be on them? And the rest of us working people too. I mean, we're still, trying to raise families, trying to pay for our food and our heat and our taxes and our mortgages. I mean, these are all things that we have to be cognizant of as well. So there's a balance there between funding essential town services, but also being mindful of the burden to the taxpayer. And I hope, if I'm selected for this position, to be a good steward of the taxpayers' money in conjunction with the other 4 members of the select board and the town manager. That is our responsibility. We have a fiduciary responsibility to the citizens of Madison to look out for their best interest. And if I'm selected, I vow to do that to the best of my ability.
Okay, very good. Well, I'll open it up if anyone has any questions, whether they're general questions or for the specific candidate, feel free to jump in, and if not, I'll keep going. Is that a hand? Yeah.
Yes. How would you handle disagreements or controversies in the community? This is general.
Ooh. Would anyone like to answer that first? Sure.
I think open, honest communication is key to handling any type of conflict. In my role as school resource officer, I'm every day telling the kids that I work with at school, the best way to handle conflict is to sit down with that other person, talk about it, get everything out on the table, and try to work out some kind of mutual type of agreement. Both sides may not walk away with everything, but at least, hopefully, the outcome will be both sides will walk away with something. And I think handling conflict within our community is much the same way. Having an open dialogue, being able to express openly what your opinions are. And I'm also a big believer in the fact that you don't have to be in agreement on everything in order to be friends. And I think the political climate in this country has gotten so divisive over the past few years. And everybody has an opinion. I have my opinions. And some people may disagree with me, I may disagree with others, but at the end of the day, it doesn't mean we can't be friends. And that's really what I would be hoping for, is working out some kind of mutually agreeable outcome where both sides walk away with something.
Anyone else want to answer that question?
I'll take a stab.
Sure,
That
yeah.
was a great answer. I'll take half of what he said and add what I'd like to say. I'm a man of faith, I'm a man of love, I'm a man of integrity. Well, I believe I'm obviously a mature adult. My passions do sometimes land on my sleeve, but the bottom line is you gotta respect everybody's opinions and feelings, because they're valid. And respect goes a long way. It doesn't matter if we agree or not, but we can sit and have dialogue, and we can disagree all day long. And there's sometimes that I actually kind of enjoy those conversations. You try to impose your will, they try to impose your will, but as long as at the end of the day there's an agreement of respect and you can have an understanding for one another, and then you part ways, it doesn't mean there's no ill will. You just sit and try to communicate properly as mature adults without aggression or as Mike was saying, the political environment today is it's very sad to me. It's very, very sad that you could have two parties that just you can't even conversate with each other. And I'm not one of those persons, so but I see it, and it's happened to me, and I truly leave saddened that people can't actually have normal conversations with each other without getting angry. And passion's one thing, anger's another. But respect is paramount in any conversation. And the way I deal with it, I guess it's truly just maturity and understanding and respect.
Well, I agree with all of that. Plus, we all have free choices, and we're not all going to agree on everything. But I think it's like it's been said here, that sometimes you just have to sit down and bounce things off each other, and to keep a cool head, because sometimes you can get pretty involved in a conversation, and that's when the anger comes out. That's when the immaturity comes out, and then you've lost everything. You're not going to get anything done at that point. So I think you got to keep a cool head and talk the situation out. And sometimes you have to compromise, which, like John and Mike said, in this environment, in this day and age, there is no compromise. If I can use the example of Democrats and Republicans, one believes one way, one believes the other, and it doesn't matter if it's right or wrong, they're not going to agree upon it. There's just no compromise anymore. And I think we need to do that in our communities. We need to be able to sit down, talk, compromise. And if we can do that and we have a trickle up effect, not a trickle down effect, but a trickle up effect. If we did that in our own communities and taught that to these people in Augusta, maybe they'd be able to get along better and we could get some things done in Augusta. Because there's not getting much done in Augusta right now because they just can't communicate. So we need to be able to do that in this community. But keep a cool head, and you're not gonna get everything you want, but if people can walk away and each one gets a little bit of something, then that's a win-win as far as I'm concerned.
Anyone else in the audience have any questions for the candidates?
I'll try to throw one in.
Okay, go for it.
All right, so during your introductions, we got to hear about some of the roles you're already playing in the community. What other roles do you guys have besides those?
I'm happy to start.
Sure, yeah.
And I very proud to say this, I'm a mentor and I'm a role model to our area's children, working in the school every day as I do. It's truly an honor, it's one of the greatest honors of my career to have been blessed by the town and by the school board and by the sheriff's office to have an opportunity to serve the children of Madison. And every day I go to work, it doesn't even seem like I'm going to work. But that's a role that I take very seriously and truly, truly enjoy. I'll also be helping out in the rec department this summer as a volunteer and working with Mr. Morshed on various things. And yeah, just because my kids have grown and are no longer in the Madison school, I'll still be very involved in the school system and the community here in Madison, working with our kiddos.
So these guys are empty nesters, so I'm still in the depth of it, raising children. So my youngest is 8, and the role that's paramount to me is husbandry and fatherhood, and I got to experience that today. I believe it takes a community. I don't know if that's an old school way of thinking, but it truly takes a community to raise children, because if I can't keep an eye on my kid or my wife is distracted with another, my expectations are if Mike or his wife is in the room to straighten them out if they're getting into danger, so I feel that way. My role is a day-to-day basis, depending on what it is. Above and beyond that, being protector and provider of my family, it's truly a day-to-day, depending on who comes across my path. Sometimes there's somebody that's under the weather and they need to be picked up, and I'm there to pick them up. The little kids, I can be a scary person sometimes, and I try to talk to little kids and try to be sweet if there is a sweet that comes with this package. The way I look, I'm sure I scare a lot of kids away, but then when I get to talk to them, they usually come around. So we have to be an example. I try to be an example for everybody that I come across. My roles as provider, I make my own schedule. I invest when I got to invest, and sometimes I just sit at home and scroll through, as of late, Facebook, because I'm bored. So my roles change day to day. I don't have a 9 to 5, so to speak, but I just have passions to better everybody I come across, whether the downtrodden or the elite, whatever it might be. I just try to leave a piece of me to where their day is going to be just a little bit better. So I guess that would be my role.
Yeah, I think for me it's basically doing the same thing, being compassionate to people around you. I'm going to get real radical here and put myself on the line. My wife and I, every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we take a time of prayer, and we pray for our community. We pray for everybody in our community. We pray for the leadership and different things in this area. And we were talking about, Mike was talking about drugs and John was talking about drugs, and there is no real solution to solve that. Well, the only real solution is for people's hearts to be changed. That's the only way that's ever going to solve the problem with drugs. And I believe in that truly. My wife and I truly believe in that. And we actually pray for the people that are on drugs in this community and the different things that are going on in this community. So we are very compassionate about what happens in this community, compassionate for the people. We stopped on the street before and offered people rides and different things like that. And that's our role in our community, to make ourselves available and just to be a present for people, period.
We'll maybe take another question or two if anyone has more.
Answer another one, Adam, since I know this one's coming. Do you have ideas for inviting greater participation on boards and committees?
Good question.
I'll field this one, if you guys are okay with
Go
it.
right ahead.
So, ideas. No, I think that, I think charisma is contagious. I think if we can show a little bit of excitement for the political realm of Madison and actually get out there and express the importance of the voice and the vote. And like I mentioned earlier, just light that fire. Just people need to understand the importance of your voice and your vote. You light that fire, get that excitement for the betterment of every one of us. Get that joy to know that you're actually truly making a difference with your voice and your vote. Your opinions all matter. And if we could just get that ignited in people and get a little excitement for the town politics, to know that you guys do make a difference. It's because of you guys why it all happens. All your dollars invested in your tax money. It's why it all happens. And you guys just gotta just find it in you to get it lit. And just, I think if we could have some people, me included, to where we could show some excitement for politics instead of it just always being boring, that people could actually, we could actually see a full room here. We could see 300 people vote in June 10th, July 10th. I believe that could happen in this town. Excitement, charisma, from the top to the people. That's my answer.
Anyone else want to take
Sure.
a stab at that?
Well, they say the town meeting system of government is the purest form of democracy. And when you think about that, think about how important that is. Again, we've heard in the media over the past few years, democracy is dying. This is the end of democracy. The future of democracy isn't out. It's never been more pure, more prevalent, more front and center than it is right here in our town. You think about one person, one vote, one resident going to town meeting, raising his or her hand, casting his or her ballot. That is the purest way for every individual's voice to be heard. And I'm excited about that. And I want others to be excited about that too, because it really is important. I think sometimes we take our responsibilities as citizens lightly, just because we're so used to having them. So, you know, to echo what John said, because he's absolutely right, us being out front, being excited, being passionate about this stuff, I think is going to have an impact on getting others in the community passionate and want to get involved as well. And I think it's important too that as elected officials we reach out to our constituency and communicate with them and not necessarily wait for them to come to us with problems. I find being proactive, you get a lot more purer feedback. People are willing to tell you what they think if you just ask them. Sometimes they're waiting to be asked, but I think those two things together really could have a huge impact on participation in government in our town.
Yeah, I think it's, you know, it's kind of hard, we have our meetings twice a month here, you know, the council meetings here. And, you know, people are doing all they can do to make a living and make ends meet. And the last thing they want to do is to go to a meeting and sit in the audience and listen to some stuff. But I think people have got to realize that that's actually their duty. They should come and get involved in these meetings and speak up when they have concerns. I mean, my wife and I joined this organization. It's called the Dinner Table. It's a grassroots conservative organization, and they were the ones that spearheaded getting enough signatures for people to, when they come in to vote, they have to have an ID. That's going to be on the agenda in November. And it's things like that that get people excited, because they came to our booth and signed, and they were all excited about that. So if you find the right thing for these people to get excited about, they'll come out. They'll come to the meetings, and they'll voice their opinion. But I don't know, maybe we can get more word out there. Is there a way that we can get more word to the community as to what's going on at our town council meetings, what's coming up? I don't know. Is it on Channel 11? Is there notices sent out? Is it, you know, we could try some different things and try to get the people to get involved, not only in the town council, but in the school board, which is very important, the planning board. There's all kinds of different things happening in this community where people could get involved in. Maybe it's not this committee, but it might be this one or this one. So I don't know the correct answer to it, but I think it's good that we do some brainstorming and put some things out there, and maybe we can get people more involved in the community. I mean, they do come out, like when we had the meeting on the meth clinic. The place was full because people are interested in that what's going on there. And hopefully they'll get interested in the smaller things, you know, paving the roads, fixing the sidewalks, or doing something with the cemeteries. You know, people have got to get more involved in the little things as well as the big things, I think. And I don't know the answer to all of it, but brainstorming and putting some different ideas out there is maybe we can get some people involved.
Just being mindful of time, we'll maybe take one more question, and then we'll go to you. Yeah, Melanie, go ahead.
Where do you see Madison in 5 to 10 years?
I see, oops.
Go ahead, buddy. No, you're good.
I think, and I know Madison has some short-range plans and some long-range plans. And some of the things I see for Madison in 5 years is that we need to do some things with the community buildings to start off with. Town Hall, we've talked about that at the meetings before, that they've outgrown Town Hall. I mean, the fire department needs to be upgraded down there. The town hall needs to be either upgraded or find a different place for the business of the town being done. That's one of the things I see in 5 years down the road that's going to change. I see a new evaluation for the town within 5 years. I see the rec department changing within the next 5 years and doing more for the community, for not only for the youth but for the elderly and the different things in the town. So I see a lot of different changes in 5 years in the town of Madison, but we've got to stay involved, and we've got to get more people involved for that to happen.
John, would you like to go next?
Sure. So in 5 years, it could be my vision of what it's going to look like in 5 years, and then there could be the question of what reality is gonna bring in 5 years. Or the trajectory could potentially change if the right leadership is in position to where it's a positive outcome in 5 years. I believe Madison is the greatest town in the state of Maine, and I'm not just saying that, I truly believe that. I hear that we're business friendly. Obviously, it takes money, folks, to make this town go round. So, being business friendly, I've heard that so much in the last month that I don't know if I can deal with hearing it again. Being business friendly, we need to have good business. And here's something I can tell all you guys that ain't in business. All business is not friendly. If you got the suit and ties coming in here, multi-million dollars, throwing their weight around, you need something that can counteract that. You need some people in this town to where they can sit around that round table and actually make some tough decisions. I believe that's what it's going to take to see this town succeed in the next 5 years. I believe that we truly need some people that's going to make some tough decisions, not only for the school, but for the business of this town, because that's what we need to come in this town. We need to make it look appealing, and we need people sitting around the table making those decisions that can make the tough decisions. And if we can do that, we're going to be in a good position in 5 years. If we don't get it figured out, Monday's meeting didn't sound all that promising. A lot of the deals that have happened in the last 5 years don't look that promising. We need a shift, and we need some people that can make some really tough decisions. And so yeah, where do I see us in 5 years? My vision is that we're the greatest town in the whole state of Maine. Where I see us as the greatest town in the whole state of Maine in 5 years. Flourished in finances to where our elderly don't need to worry. Flourished to the point where we potentially might have the drug problem under control. Because if we actually solve the problems that we're dealing with today in 5 years, it's going to be magnificent. It's going to be like back in the early 90s. That's my examples, because I came here in 1988. I didn't know any of these problems back then. He probably dealt with a lot of problems then, which I am going to dig into, the finances and how it looked back then as well, just to let you all know. See how the environments were in the past compared to where they are now. But anyway, yeah, that's my answer. Thank you. Thank you for the question.
Where do I see Madison in 5 years? First and foremost, I see it as home. We're invested in this community. We've got a long way to go to retirement, and anticipate working here and retiring to this community. You know, David and John both made some really terrific points. There is going to be some investment in municipal-owned infrastructure required in the not-too-distant future. Not only the town office, but this building that we're sitting in is going to require some major investment, just to bring it up to code and keep it safe and make it ADA compliant. These things, however, cost money, and we are looking at a revaluation coming up, I would say, in the next couple of years, and that certainly is going to have an impact on things. But these things all are funded through taxation, and we have to figure out as a community, how are we going to expand our tax base so we have more resources to invest in our infrastructure, invest in services for our elderly, so like John said, they don't have to worry. These are challenges, and you know, Madison is certified business friendly, and you know, to John's point, what does that mean exactly? What could we do better, maybe, to attract more business, more investment in our community? I mean, these are all things that we have to look at as a select board and as a community as a whole. But I see good things in the future for Madison. I'm very optimistic. I tend to be an optimist anyway. But I see great things for this town in the future, and I think it's just going to take investment by all of us in order to make that happen.
Okay.
Thank you. I forgot your name, sir, but we can go to you next, and you can tell us about your wife, right?
Board of Trustees, Public Library.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm here to represent my wife, Tasima Brennan Murphy. She's gonna be trying for one of the positions for the Board of Trustees for the Public Library. Tasima has been a resident for over 25 years in Madison. She's been a member of healthcare. She's worked at Maple Crest, currently working at the U.S. Postal Service. I've been a resident for 43 years in Madison. My wife and I have always we've always tried to be involved in the town through different chapters of our lives. In my past, I've been a chimney sweep in Madison, whitewater guide up in the Forks, snowmaker at Sugarloaf. I served on the Madison Fire Department for several years in the early 2000s. I have been for over 20 years and currently am still a master plumber for North Federal Company here in town. My wife and I, we have 3 children. The youngest is 14 now, so now that they're starting to get a little bit older, we're going to be able to have more time to get involved in the town. I didn't have any questions for everybody because everything that we've discussed tonight, I have insight that I could have given, but obviously this is the forum for that. So it's just sitting here listening tonight, it's giving me more and more reason to feel like I need to get involved. My wife and I both, like I said, we're both very interested in getting involved in the future. My wife apologetically couldn't be here tonight. This is her first week in her new job at the Madison Post Office. She's working late tonight. But she asked if I could come by and give a few notes as to reasons why she would like to get involved. And I'd like to read that for you right now. In the days when we were a firefighter family in Madison, Deputy Chief Jody Lightbody used to tell us, one of the most important parts of running a successful department in a small town is grant money. He'd tell us that grants can make you or break you. The only problem with grants is that they won't come to you. You have to go looking for them. You have to chase them, you need to hunt them down. That was nearly 20 years ago today that he said it, and those words are even more true today than they were then. The only difference now is there are far more grants to chase as long as you know how to hunt them. The first type of grants that help us year after year, technology and digital access grants. These are the grants that we use every year to help us stay competitive with the computer upgrades, the Wi-Fi, all sorts of digital literacy programs, such like that. These programs are becoming more and more available to help us teach those of us who aren't as computer and tech savvy as others. You know, some of us aren't as good into it as the children are these days. Some of these grants, a lot of these grants are issued by the Institute of Museum and Library Services, the IMLS, a major source of many types of grants in the state of Maine. The other leading source for these grants is obviously the ALA, the American Library Association. The people who are on the Board of Trustees obviously know exactly what I'm talking about here, but for those of you out there in the town who might not know a lot about it, I want to go over a few more of these types, because a lot of people don't realize how much there is to offer really for towns like us. The second type of grants that we need, these all focus on, I mean, we can get grants for all kinds of different services in the town, but I'm talking specifically about the Madison Public Library here. So the second type of grants that we need to start going for are the community engagement and programming grants. These are the grants that help us support future events, book clubs, youth workshops, literacy programs, etc. Examples of these that are provided, there's many places you can get these, but the 2 biggest ones are the NEH, the National Endorsement for Humanities, the National Endowment for Humanities. And they focus on grants for cultural programs. And then again, the American Library Association has a great program now called the American Rescue Plan, which focuses on community engagement. That has a lot to do with what we've been talking about all night. Community engagement, trying to get more people involved in meetings like this. And there's literally 3 or 4 residents here. And we have a Madison Community Matters Facebook page that has like 16,000 people on that Facebook page, and I'm not sure the exact number of residents we have. It's a lot more than 16,000, but we should be able to fill this room. And I really think that programs stemming from the public library could help us do that.
The third type of grants we go for are fairly common. These are the infrastructure and facility improvement grants. These are the ones that you would all know about if I was asking you what type of grant do we usually get. These are the grants that help us with all the renovations, the improvements, the upgrades that keep the library thriving and safe. I know we have plans right now to fix the ramp outside the library. That's needed work for a long time. These are the kind of grants that give us money to do things like that. Again, the IMLS is a huge potential source for these kind of grants, as well as the National Leadership Grants for Libraries programs, another leading program now that you can get money from. A lot of these people don't, a lot of towns like us don't even go after these grants. They're literally just, nobody even knows about them. You can also apply for construction grants, which are administered from the Maine State Library. All right. The fourth type of grants are collection department grants, and these are the grants that we go after a lot anyway. These are the grants that help us expand, get new books, specialized library collections, stuff like that. Sources for these grants include, but are not limited to, Libri Foundation books for rural libraries. They help us with the book donations. We have Baker and Taylor Awards. They provide us to enhance specialized collections. These are a lot of things we can start going after. Sources like these can help us satisfy the residents who are craving more updated resources. I know I hear a lot of comments on Facebook about how people complain. They go to the library and they're seeing a lot of outdated stuff. They're not seeing a lot of updated stuff. But then again, we want to keep a balance too, because a lot of people like to see the old stuff as well. So we kind of try to, but that goes back to trying to do expansion, which we'll get into in just a second here. The fifth and final type of grant, and these are another one that we really don't go after a lot. These are sustainability and innovation grants. These grants are given to those communities who show initiative to build their own innovative and creative community services. There's a really broad spectrum there. Basically, these are the grants that are often overlooked because they require towns to think outside of the box. These are the grants that can make a huge difference in a town like ours. Some of these grants are $50,000 minimum, and go up from there. These are annual, given away to select libraries that actually go and try to come up with new community programs, to come up with fresh new ideas to get young children involved and to get parents involved, and basically community members of all ages to get involved, which I really think after listening to everybody tonight, I really think it would help get people involved in meetings like this. There's obviously much more to a successful functioning public library than grant money. It's not all about money, obviously. The most valuable assets to the community are the community members themselves, us. We are what matters. We are who matters. Most especially the future and the well-being of our children is what matters. We confidently believe that our library is a hallmark cornerstone of the town, especially our town. We believe with all of our hearts that the Madison Public Library is one of the most unique historical structures in the United States, maybe even the world. It really is a one-of-a-kind building. The library has personally been my favorite structure. I've said this my entire life. There's something about that building, just something about the shape of it. When you walk in, the rotunda, it's absolutely beautiful. It would be a shame if anything ever happened to it. My wife and I will do anything in our power to keep it that way. I wrote down a few notes as I was listening to the meeting tonight. People were asking about ideas. One of the ideas that we really need to look at is social media. Right now we focus on Facebook a lot for getting our town meetings like tonight out there. We really need to get involved in Rumble. Rumble is the future of social media. Rumble is going to overtake YouTube in the next 10 or 15 years. It's going to be the future of everything. We need to really seriously think about getting a Rumble channel, and the library could help with that. Another thing that I was thinking about is we really need to get, this doesn't go along the lines of the library as much, but we really need to get construction savvy people involved. When you guys are talking about a lot of things that are going to be happening, taking place, it's another reason why I want to get involved. I have a construction background. Most of the work that we do at Prebles and that I've done over the last 20 years is we do all commercial work, schools and hospitals. I've been involved in about 25 new school constructions in the state over the last 20 years, so a lot of hospital work. So maybe I could help us get some more people involved that have mechanical backgrounds that could help us make decisions on some of these things that we're looking to do to improve the town in the next decade. Another thing I just want to focus on is positivity, and you guys are talking about positivity and negativity and how negativity can be, I think somebody mentioned that negativity can be contagious. That's a really important factor. My wife and I really want to try to focus on positivity to bring people in and get people involved. Negativity is really contagious. Even I get sucked into it all the time. It just happened to me a few days ago where somebody said something really negative to me, and I ended up going back and retaliating to them. Next thing you know, you're in an argument and you're both saying things to people that you don't really want to be saying. And I think if we can really spread positivity, we can maybe get some more people involved in the town. And I have been planning on doing this for several years, getting involved in the town. I have been asked to possibly fill a seat maybe later this year or next year on the water district that hasn't been filled yet. That might be a good fit for my career, and it might be a good first step in getting involved in the town. So that's pretty much all I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you. Well, we're pretty much wrapped up, but if any of you three have a parting word to share, real quick, less than a minute, anything we didn't touch on yet?
I'd just like to thank David and John,
Yep.
both great guys, and I'm proud to be sitting up here with the two of them. And I want to thank you, Jake, and Channel 11 for hosting us tonight. And you know, regardless of the outcome, get out and vote on June 10th. It's democracy in action, and you know, it's our right and it's our responsibility as citizens to make our voice heard.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all, definitely. And make sure you go out and vote June 10th. And it's an honor to be here, especially sitting with these two leaders that are beside me. And just make sure you guys go out and vote. Your voice is important.
Yeah, I'd just like to say, no matter which two of us three get on the board, we're all, I believe, well qualified for it. And if I'm one of them, then I'm certainly going to take the lead from the people on the board right now. They've been there a while, they know the operations and the systems, so I'd have my ear inclined to what they've got to say in that situation, so thank you.
Great. Well, thank you very much for coming, those of you who came, and whoever is watching us online. Thanks for watching, and thanks to John and Randy for organizing, and Channel 11 for broadcasting and recording. That's all I got.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank
Yeah.
you.